You checked your balance this morning, not because you needed to. You just needed to know it was still there. The number was fine. It's almost always fine now, and you checked it anyway. That's not a habit. That's something else. You've done this so many times that you don't notice it anymore. Before dinner, before a purchase, before sleep, a quick glance, a confirmation, and then you close the app, and a few hours later you open it again. Not because anything changed, because something inside you needs to keep checking. There's a word people use for this. They call it being responsible. They call it staying on top of things. They call it knowing your numbers. Those words are doing a lot of work, because what's actually happening is something different. You don't check because you're being careful. You check because the anxiety doesn't go away on its own, and the number, for a few seconds, quiets it until it doesn't. Think about how long you've been doing this. Not weeks, not months, years probably. You've been checking since before you had anything to protect. You checked when the number was small. You checked when the number was worrying. You checked when the number started to grow, and you're still checking now. The number changed. The checking didn't. This is the part that's hard to see when you're inside it. You assumed the checking would stop when the number got better. That was the logic. Get to a safer place financially. Feel safer. More in savings. Less anxiety. Bigger buffer. Fewer late-night balance checks. It made sense. It was a reasonable thing to expect, and it didn't happen. You built the buffer. You built the savings. You built the cushion that your younger self would have called security, and you still open the app. You still glance before you order the expensive thing. You still feel a faint, electric pulse of something uncomfortable before you click confirm on anything over $100. Not panic, not genuine distress. Something quieter than that. A low-grade signal, an almost imperceptible hesitation, a slight tightening that says, maybe you should check first. You check. The number is fine. You proceed, and you don't think about why that sequence has to happen every time. But here's what's harder to look at directly. It wasn't always like this. There was a time when the number you have now existed only as a target, something you were working toward, something that represented the other side, the side where you wouldn't have to feel this way anymore. You had a number in your head, not a specific number maybe, but a shape, a threshold, an amount that meant you made it, an amount that meant the anxiety could finally stop. You crossed it, and then something strange happened. You moved it. Not dramatically, not all at once, just quietly, almost without noticing. The threshold shifted. 3 months of expenses became 6. Not because the math changed, because 3 months stopped feeling like enough. 6 months became a year, not because anything went wrong, because 6 months stopped feeling safe once you had it. A year became a number you couldn't have imagined having when you started, and you have it now. And it still doesn't feel like the thing you thought it would feel like. Every time you arrived at the number moved. You probably told yourself you were being smart, that you were adjusting for inflation, that you were accounting for new variables, that the goalposts didn't move. You just understood the game better. Some of that might be true, but underneath it, something else was happening. The anxiety needed a new threshold to protect, because the old one was no longer in danger. And a nervous system running on vigilance needs something to be vigilant about. So the number moved, and the checking continued, and the feeling you were building towards stayed exactly one threshold ahead of you. This is not a planning problem. This is not a math problem. This is what it looks like when the system that was supposed to get you to safety keeps redefining what safety means. Because the system was never measuring safety, it was measuring threat, and threat is always findable. If the current number is covered, the next number is exposed. If the next number is covered, the number after that is exposed. There is always a number that isn't covered yet, and the system will find it, every time. So the threshold moves, and you follow it, and you build toward it, and you arrive, and it moves again. You've been doing this long enough that you can see the pattern now. If you look, the you from 5 years ago would look at your numbers today and feel the thing you're still waiting to feel. And the you from 5 years from now will look at your numbers today and think the same thing. The feeling isn't at the next threshold. It was never at the threshold. The threshold was just something the anxiety built to keep itself employed. Now go one level deeper, because the moving threshold explains what you've been doing. It doesn't explain why. The anxiety is still running at all. That requires looking at something most people don't look at. The difference between what happened financially and what the nervous system knows about what happened financially. Financially, the story is clear. You made progress. Real, measurable, undeniable progress. The numbers reflect something that happened. The safety is not imaginary. The cushion is real. The buffer exists. You built something that functions. The nervous system doesn't know this. This is not metaphor. This is not a way of speaking loosely about psychology. The nervous system genuinely does not update based on account balances. It updates based on experience. Embodied, repeated, emotional experience. Not numbers on a screen. Experience in the body. The actual felt sense of being safe. And the felt sense of being safe requires something that almost never happens. It requires you to stop, to sit with the number without doing anything, to let the safety be real without confirming it, to let time pass without checking, to spend money without bracing, to occupy the financial reality you built without immediately planning for its collapse. You have almost never done this, because every time the anxiety rises, you check. Every time you check, the anxiety quiets, and the nervous system learns, not that you are safe, that checking is what safe feels like. The relief doesn't come from the number. The relief comes from the act, the opening of the app, the seeing of the number, the confirmation, the brief window before the anxiety rebuilds. That window is what the nervous system learned to call safety, not the savings account, the ritual. So the account grew, and the ritual grew with it. And the nervous system never registered the growth as safety. It registered it as a larger thing to protect, a larger thing that requires more checking, more watching, more confirmation. You improved financially. The nervous system interpreted that as increased exposure, more to lose now, more reason to watch, more reason to check. The financial progress didn't produce emotional safety. It produced more material for the anxiety to work with. This is why people with significant wealth still feel financially precarious. Not all of them, but enough of them that it shouldn't be surprising. The amount didn't resolve the pattern. The amount gave the pattern more surface area. Your nervous system isn't broken. It's working perfectly for a version of your life that is over. It learned what it learned when learning it kept you safe. The vigilance was correct once. The checking was useful once. The threshold setting was adaptive once. And the nervous system held on to all of it. Because the nervous system doesn't let go of what worked. It holds it in reserve, in case the old conditions return. They haven't returned, but the system doesn't know that. The system only knows that every time it activated the checking, the catastrophe didn't happen, and it concluded. The checking is why, so the checking continues, in case stopping is what lets the catastrophe through. Now look at what that costs. Not financially, not on a spreadsheet, in a different register entirely. There is a life you built. It has real dimensions. The home you're in, the table you eat at, the trips you've taken, the things you've been able to do that you couldn't do before, and you pass through most of it at a slight remove. Not, obviously, not in a way that other people notice, not even in a way you fully notice, most of the time. But there is a film between you and the life, a thin, persistent layer of not quite here, not quite finished, not quite safe enough to let this be enough. Not quite at the number where you can stop monitoring and start inhabiting. You eat the expensive meal and spend part of it calculating. You take the vacation and spend part of it checking. You sit in the thing you built and spend part of it wondering when it ends. Not from pessimism, from habit, from the system running its scan in the background, looking for the threat, finding nothing, looking again. The experience you're having is always slightly compromised by the system that got you there. There are moments that were supposed to feel like arrival. The first night in the house, the trip you saved for, the dinner that cost more than any dinner used to cost, the Saturday with nothing pressing, and the account in a healthy place. Those moments happened, and somewhere inside each of them, something was running the numbers. Something was asking how long this could last. Something was noting that this level of comfort carries a corresponding level of exposure. Something was already preparing for the version of events where it goes wrong. The moment was real, and you were partially somewhere else during it. Not because you chose to be, because the system doesn't take days off, because the system that protected you through every difficult financial period didn't get a signal that the difficult period was over, so it stayed active. Through the good moments, through the arrival moments, through the moments that were supposed to feel like the answer, It scanned them for risk. It found something to flag, and the flag required a check, and the check took you out of the moment, and you came back, and the moment had moved on. This has happened more times than you've counted. This is the cost. That doesn't appear anywhere. Not in any column. Not in any review of your financial life. You have not been fully present in most of what you've built, because the system that built it won't let you rest inside it. The vigilance that got you here is the same vigilance that prevents you from arriving. Think about the last time you were genuinely, fully at ease with your financial situation, not the last time you checked and felt temporarily reassured, the last time you didn't need to check at all, the last time the number wasn't somewhere in the background, the last time you spent money and the transaction just ended. No residue, no scan, no slight adjustment of the internal calculation. For some people, that's a very long time ago. For some people, it's hard to remember. For some people, the answer is that it's never been like that the monitoring has always been running, even before there was much to monitor. If that's true, then the safety was never in the number, because the number grew and the monitoring grew with it, which means no number was ever going to be the answer, which means the finish line was never real. And if the finish line was never real, then everything you did to reach it wasn't wrong. You built something real. The numbers are real. The security is real. But you've been running a race with no finish line, and calling the running responsible, and calling the exhaustion careful, and calling the inability to stop staying on top of things. And the race continues, because the system doesn't know how to stop racing, because stopping felt like danger once, because the last time you let your guard down, something happened, or you feared something would, or someone in your life modeled that. Stopping is how you get caught. The system learned. The system held the lesson. The system applied it every day since, to a life that has outgrown the lesson. You know this somewhere, not as information, as something more uncomfortable than information, as a recognition you've been sitting with for a while without naming. The checking isn't protecting you, the number is. The checking is just the anxiety renewing itself every morning, before dinner, before anything costs money, before you let yourself feel like you're allowed to have what you have. The number grew, the feeling didn't follow, and now you know it wasn't going to. Not this way, not like this. The feeling was never going to come from the number getting bigger, because the system running the scan doesn't measure what you have. It measures what could still go wrong, and there is always something that could still go wrong. So the scan continues, and the checking continues, and the life you built passes at that slight remove, almost fully felt, almost fully inhabited, almost enough. The number is fine. It's almost always fine now, and still you check.